While Hanoi, Ho Chi Minh City and the other major centers are intriguing enough, it's Vietnam's striking landscape that most impresses. Rugged mountains hug the west, bordering Cambodia and Laos. To the east lies the South China Sea, or the East Sea as the Vietnamese call it. To the north and south, the land fantails out into the splendid deltas of the Red River and the Mekong. And it's in these regions that you'll encounter the paddy fields, dragonflies, buffaloes, and conical-hatted farmers that constitute the classic images of Vietnam. As for wildlife, the discovery in recent years of several previously unknown species of plants, birds, and animals showcases the wealth of Vietnam's biodiversity. This makes the improving access to the country's national parks all the more gratifying for travelers wanting to visit Vietnam. Population 95 million. Around 2/3 live in the countryside, yet the country has a literacy rate of around 95%. Tourist numbers 2 million in 2000, 15 million in 2018. Politics. The Socialist Republic of Vietnam is one of the world's last surviving one-party communist states. It shares land borders with China, Laos, and Cambodia and comprises over 330,000 square kilometers, with more than 3,400 kilometers of coastline. UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Vietnam has 8. Phong Nha-ke Bang National Park is home to Hang Son Dune, the world's known largest cave. Where to go in Vietnam? Travel to Vietnam and you'll discover there is no shortage of beautiful and intriguing places to explore. Experience the buzz of vibrant Ho Chi Minh City, or captivating Hanoi, with its lively old quarter and mouth-watering street food, while the alluring riverside town of historic Hoi An in central Vietnam makes for a more mellow experience. The Central Highlands affords fantastic trekking opportunities and other outdoor pursuits, with the breezy mountain town of Da Lat providing the ideal base, while a visit to the remote upland regions of central and northern Vietnam is likely to focus on the ethnic minorities who reside there. Explore the pancake flat rice lands of the Mekong Delta with its wonderful floating markets, and meander between Ha Long Bay's striking limestone forested islands. Of course, a visit to Vietnam wouldn't be complete without some relaxing beach time. Take your pick from the gorgeous golden beaches in the south, such as Doc Let Beach on the Han Coi Peninsula, and enjoy some superb swimming and snorkeling, as well as exquisite seafood. Best time to travel to Vietnam. Vietnam is long and slender, with different regions subject to different weather conditions at any one time, which makes figuring out the best time to visit Vietnam somewhat tricky. The country has a tropical monsoon climate. If you're visiting the south of the country, the driest months tend to be between December and April, while the north of the country is typically driest in spring and autumn. Within this broad weather picture are regional variations, with differences in altitude also key to varying temperatures. Whereas the south tends to have a year-round tropical climate, the north is considerably cooler in winter. You can still enjoy a visit to Vietnam during the rainy season, but it's worth bearing in mind that if you're intending to go trekking, monsoon downpours can mean flooding in certain areas, and transport can be severely disrupted. You'll also have to put up with a lot more mosquitoes. On the plus side, there are fewer visitors. Find out more about the best time to visit Vietnam here. How to get to Vietnam. The number of international flights heading to Vietnam has been steadily increasing of late, a fair sign of the country's burgeoning popularity as a tourist destination. The vast majority of visitors fly into Ho Chi Minh City and Hanoi, although a fair chunk of visitors still take the cheaper option of an indirect flight routed through Bangkok, Singapore, or Hong Kong. Taking an indirect flight might be your only option if there are no direct flights available from where you intend to travel. While you can fly direct from London, for example, there are no direct flights from Ireland, North America, New Zealand, and very few from Australia. Take a look at Skyscanner for options. If you're coming from one of Vietnam's neighboring countries, you can fly from several cities, taking advantage of the low-cost flights available through budget airlines. Or you can enter Vietnam overland from China, Laos, or Cambodia. It's pretty simple as long as you have the appropriate visa, and this option means you can see more of the region than you would if you simply jetted in. There are several options for travel within Vietnam. Though still a little rough around the edges, its transport network is continuing to improve. Comfortable buses operate regularly and fares are cheap, or you can travel by coach. If you're going long distances, booking a berth on an overnight train could be an appealing option. Or there are cheap domestic flights available, making it possible to visit different ends of the country in a short space of time. Read more about how to get to Vietnam and how to get around Vietnam. Top 7 Best Places to Visit in Vietnam. 1. Sample Hoi An delicacies. Little Hoi An has an almost bewildering selection of mouth-wateringly good restaurants, offering up specialities such as cow lao, rice flour noodles and soup flavored with mint and star anise, topped with slices of pork, bean sprouts and pork rind croutons. The elegant restaurant Morning Glory is one of the best places to try it, along with other superbly prepared dishes, for a reasonable price. You can also try your hand at Vietnamese cooking by taking one of many cookery classes available in town. Discover 10 Vietnamese foods you need to try. 2. Cruise around Ha Long Bay. An exploration of Ha Long Bay in northern Vietnam is a must for any visit to Vietnam. Dramatic limestone rock formations which jut straight up from the water make up the 2,000 or so forested islands. Visit the enchanting caves via one of the tours available, and, if you can, make time for one of the 3-day tours, as you get to spend a night at sea. Swimming and kayaking around the bay's bright green waters is a glorious experience. 3. Trek around Sapa. On a clear day, the views around Sapa in the far north of Vietnam are breathtaking. Lush terraced rice fields line the steep valley and mountains loom from all sides. It's the gateway to fantastic trekking country and the reason most visitors come here. Explore the Hom Lien Sun mountain range, home to Phan Xipan, Vietnam's highest mountain, and visit the small ethnic communities still living a traditional way of life. 4. Relax on Phu Quoc Island. Picture postcard. Phu Quoc Island in the Gulf of Thailand is no longer a well-kept secret. Word is out about its powdery white sand beaches facing glorious sunsets, its dense jungle, and the laid-back atmosphere of the island. But even though visitor numbers are up, there is still plenty of unspoiled creamy soft sand in which to dig your toes. You can also paddle around the bays in a kayak, or dive around the reefs, weaving among colorful tropical fish and perhaps a hawksbill turtle. Around half of the island is part of a UNESCO-listed national park and remains pretty much untouched. You'll find hiking trails in its tropical rainforests, and a fantastic array of wildlife. Zipping on a motorbike is a great way to explore the island's back roads and quiet fishing villages. 5. Hike and bike around Da Lat. Dubbed the City of Eternal Spring for its year-round cool climate, this former hill station in the Central Highlands, with its winding streets and French colonial-era villas, is the place to head when the heat in cities below becomes stifling. Combine a visit to the splendid Bao Dai's summer palace with the Crazy House, a fairy-tale riot of twisted cement. But it's the area surrounding Da Lat that's the big draw. Fragrant pine forests and dramatic waterfalls beckon, and alongside hiking there's the opportunity for mountain biking and rock climbing, or, for those seeking greater thrills, canyoning. You can also rent a motorbike for a bit of adventure, and it's a great way to explore more of the area. For a more sedate experience, enjoy the beautiful view via the cable car to the Truc Lam Pagoda. 6. Stay in a stilt house on the Pu Luong Nature Reserve. This spectacular nature reserve in the northern coastal area of Vietnam is as yet comparatively unknown to outsiders. Trek amid magnificent rice terraces, and visit the White Thai or Muong minority groups, some of which offer homestay accommodation. You can help prepare a meal and join in with family life, and then bed down in a thatched stilt house. 7. Soak up the sights and smells of Hanoi. A visit to Vietnam wouldn't be complete without a visit to its capital city. Hanoi, with its constant buzz of motorbikes and general hubbub, is the place to experience city life at full throttle. Wander the sinuous streets of the Old Quarter with its narrow red-roofed tube houses, temples and pagodas, and whir of street vendors. Perch on a plastic stool and watch the hectic world go by over a cup of Vietnamese coffee or glass of beer. Check out the atmospheric French Quarter with its impressive opera house, and visit the many cultural and historical sites, such as the Ho Chi Minh Mausoleum and Museum of Ethnology. Everywhere you go, you'll be hit with the scent of delicious street food, such as the traditional breakfast dish of pho, a beef noodle soup. Vietnam Travel Itineraries. The carefully created travel itineraries in our Vietnam travel guide will inspire and help you make the most of your trip. Combining the classic tourist sites and busy cities with laid-back beaches, quiet temples, and remote mountain villages where you'd be hard-pushed to find another visitor. There's an itinerary to match your interests and suit your time frame, whether you have a month to travel in Vietnam or just a week or two. And don't worry about seeing everything. Each of the routes will give you a good taste of the country. If you have a month to travel around Vietnam, the Grand Tour could be the one for you. It's the classic itinerary, packing in the essential sites, bustling cities, beautiful beaches, rural Vietnam, and much more. If you have a week or two and want to focus on Vietnam's ethnic minority groups residing in the north, the Ethnic Culture Tour is ideal. And if you have just a week and want to get off the beaten track, go for the unseen Mekong Delta itinerary. Below is a sample itinerary, ideal for the first-time visitor to Vietnam, but you can see all our itineraries here. Quintessential Vietnam. You'll get a taste of everything with this itinerary. Big cities, historical and cultural sites, idyllic beaches, boat trips, intriguing caves, unspoiled countryside, homestays in rural villages, and more. Allow 16 days, or longer if you want to take things at a more relaxed pace. 1. Hanoi. Start off your tour in Vietnam's capital and enjoy its busy yet laid-back vibes. Visit some of the principal sites in Hanoi, the Ho Chi Minh Mausoleum, and the nearby One-Pillar Pagoda, the Military History Museum, or the Ethnology Museum, and the Temple of Literature, Vietnam's principal Confucian sanctuary and its historical center of learning. Wander around the Old Quarter and take a stroll around Hon Kim Lake lines. Hotels and tour companies as far in advance as possible to make sure they can accommodate your requirements. Getting around can be made a little easier by renting a private car or minibus with a driver. Taxis are also widely available in all cities. Traveling with children. The Vietnamese adore kids and make a huge fuss of them. The main concern will probably be hygiene, as Vietnam can be distinctly unsanitary, so avoiding spicy foods will help while their stomachs adjust. Bear in mind that healthcare facilities can remain basic outside Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City, so make sure your travel insurance includes full medical evacuation. There are reduced fares for children on domestic flights, trains, and open tour buses. On trains, for example, it's free for under 5 seconds and half price for children aged 5 to 10. Working and studying in Vietnam. Without a prearranged job and work permit, you shouldn't bank on finding work in Vietnam. English language teaching is probably the easiest job to land, especially if you have a TEFL, TESOL, or CELTA qualification. You'll need to apply for a work permit, sponsored by your employer, and then a working visa. The main English language teaching operations recruiting in Vietnam include the British Council, ILA Vietnam Language Link Vietnam, and RMIT International University. The TEFL website and Dave's ESL Cafe also have lists of English teaching vacancies in addition to lots of other useful information. If you like this video, please subscribe our channel. Thanks for watching.